Hey, it's Simone, head of operations for African Ancestry, and I want to welcome you to Office Hours. So we're back, and let's see, are people joining? Let's see. I'm gonna give people some time to join. All right. Oh, we got some folks joining. All right. Welcome, taking off the masks from St. Louis. We'll get some more people in. Hey, D Alex 45. Hey. All right. Oh, we got some more people joining. All right, give about 10 more seconds. Hey, Rosemary. Hey, all right, everyone's joining now. There's a question out there. What's the weather like where you are? We're dealing with some overcast, some rain. All right, looks like we got people joining in. All right, let's get going. All right, so for the people who are new, people who've joined us before, welcome back to Office Hours. Office Hours is a dedicated space and time for family members and even potential African Ancestry family members to learn more about their results, as well as ask questions, interact with the African Ancestry team, learn more about the company, learn more about things that we got going on around the farm, if you will. So, want to welcome you back. Um, I want to thank everyone who submitted questions for this week. Remember, if you want to submit questions to us for office hours or feedback, or suggest topics, anything that you want to know or want us to cover in these sessions of ours, you can send an email to officehours@africanancestry.com. Again, it's officehours@africanancestry.com. So thank you to everyone that submitted questions and feedback. The entire team is thankful. We got a lot of questions this week. We got a lot of participation. So we're actually going to have quite a bit to discuss. So we'll get started with today's show. It's very special because it's the first one where we've opened it up to everyone, whether or not you an African Ancestry family member or potential family member, anyone who's interested in learning about us, our results, and just kind of have questions about the African Ancestry experience. This one is for you. The last 3 office hour meetups were exclusive to our online community over on Facebook. But we decided to open it up so we can make ourselves available to everyone and answer any questions that might come up. So before we get all the way into it, I want some of my OGs. If you're an OG African Ancestry family member, type OG in the chat. If you've already been a part of the African Ancestry family, type in OG. And if you're not a family member yet and you're thinking about it, or maybe you know someone who's a family member and you want to learn more, type new into the chat. All right, Betty Smith. That's an OG. Oh, this is so cool. We got quite a few OGs in here. All right. So, like I said, today's office hours is open topic. And that means that we're answering a variety of questions. And in order for us to be able to do that, for me to be able to do that, I had to bring some friends along. So, the first friend I want to bring to the stage, she's new to the stage. So, everyone be kind. This is Tasia Perella, our customer operations manager. Tasia's been a member of the African Ancestry team since 2020, and this is her first office hours appearance. And she is our customer service expert. You know, we've all done customer service a little bit, but she is the current reigning title holder, I guess. So welcome, Tasia. Everyone, welcome, Tasia.
Hello, hello.
All right, so she's not the only one. I said friends, multiple people. So the next person coming up is one of your favorites, the people's champ himself, Dr. Stanley Hooker. Dr. Hooker's rejoining us. He's been holding down the office hours with me for the last couple of weeks, and they've been great. It's been awesome to have him on. So, um, everyone, welcome Dr. Stanley Hooker back. We can't hear you, Stanley.
Sorry. Hey, everybody. Didn't realize I was on mute.
All right. Now, last but certainly not least, we have the OG, our fearless leader and co-founder, Dr. Gina Page.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Hey, y'all.
So, Dr. Page is African Ancestry's first official employee, which means she has 21 plus years in knowledge about African ancestry. Plus, she's the boss. She decided everything anyway. So, uh, all right, everyone, welcome Dr. Page. And so, y'all, are y'all ready? We got a lot of questions.
I'm ready. I'm excited. I'm happy to be on here. I was getting a little jealous of you and Dr. Hooker. I gotta call you Dr. Hooker. I was getting a little jealous of you and Dr. Hooker.
Yeah, it's weird calling him Dr. Hooker, right? All right, so Gina, we have a question that I think you have the honor of answering first.
Oh,
All right, so from Internet Banks, the question is, oh, I'm sorry, not Internet Banks. When is the trip to Sierra Leone scheduled, and how can I start to prepare for the citizenship process? We got a question similar to that from Internet Banks.
yeah. This is a question we get every day, probably. Wouldn't y'all say?
Yep.
Yes.
Every single day, be it email, social, in conversation, whatever it is. So listen, the Sierra Leone trip is scheduled around their citizenship conferment ceremony timing. And we have not been given any dates by the government of Sierra Leone. So as soon as we get the dates of their official ceremony, then we will be putting up our African ancestry trip to Sierra Leone. Historically, the trip has been in November, but historically it had also been in April, and they didn't do it in April. So it's just a waiting game. But trust and believe, as soon as we know, we're going to tell you guys. And as far as preparing for citizenship, not really sure that there's anything you can do to prepare. When they announce the ceremony timing, they will announce what the requirements are, and in the past they've been pretty straightforward. So you'll have plenty of time to get your stuff together for citizenship.
Nice. So, in other words, be patient. Although
That's
we
right.
move at a certain pace and we're accustomed to a certain pace, sometimes we have to adjust to
Yes.
cultural differences. Is that that's the
Excellent. Well said, Simone. Well said.
as you all know, I'm working on my tech and saying it the right way. All right, so we have another question from Mr. Sean Deschamps. What is the difference between the Igbo spelling IBO and the Igbo spelling IGBO? My research for my Igbo ancestry also refers to the Igbo with the G. In short, there's no difference. It's the same group, it's just a different spelling. One might have fallen out of favor, but I can't speak to that personally, but both spellings are legitimate. So, all right. So we have a question from Samuel Lewis Jr. I would like to understand how my DNA is found in 6 tribes and 4 countries.
I can answer that one.
Okay.
I think I might need some backup. So Samuel, I don't know if you're here in the chat. If you're here in the chat, let me see you say I'm here or something like that. But typically, when we find results in 4 countries, it's these 4 countries. So it will be Senegal, which is up at the top, Guinea-Bissau, which borders Senegal, Sierra Leone, which is a couple 100 miles south, and then Liberia, which borders Sierra Leone. So there are a few things to notice here. First of all, these countries at one time were all considered the Grain Coast. And before the Berlin Conference, when the European countries carved Africa up and created artificially and politically drawn borders, these countries did not exist. And so it's very easy for us to find people with the same genetics in each of these places. Now, there's about 1,000 miles between Senegal, the capital of Senegal, which is Dakar, and Monrovia, which is the capital of Liberia, only 1,000 miles. And so you can start to think of it like the distance between New York and Atlanta, right?
That's like 2.5 hour flight, right? Not too far.
Right. Right. So while 1,000 miles might sound far, it really isn't. When you think about it, you can go that distance and more within the country of the United States. And in this instance, we're talking about 4 different countries. Now, the other thing to think about is with the ethnic groups. Generally, when you see that many, it's because there are Mende and Temini matches in Sierra Leone. Perhaps Fula and Balanta matches in Guinea-Bissau, and then maybe Mandinka in Senegal, or Kru in Liberia. So you got to remember that these groups are social and cultural groupings and not necessarily genetic groupings. So you can, again, share the same genetics, but have different spiritual practices or have different initiation rites or, all kinds of cultural traditions, social traditions. So, yeah.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to take over a little bit, Dr. Page. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But I just wanted to kind of piggyback off of it and add to that. So we get a lot of questions very similar to the one that Mr. Lewis provided. But we also get questions about how the results are actually listed out on your results letter or your certificate. And that question is, does one hold more weight than the other? And it doesn't. It's just we're reporting it. And it's not really reported in any particular order per se, but all of them hold the same amount of weight. So you can trust in that.
Yeah, that's a good point, Tasia. I did want to also show that there's a couple of other combinations that we find, on a regular basis. We find people who have common ancestry in both Nigeria and Cameroon. So there are going to be people who have both of those countries on their results. And then there's a bunch of y'all who have Cameroon and Bioko Island, which is part of Equatorial Guinea. So again, you see the proximity. These present day countries share borders. And so, just because you draw a line down the middle of the land doesn't mean that you're different people. So, nice. Yeah.
And Dr. Hooker, you back all that up, right?
Absolutely. Like, I know some of our internal data, shows that like there are some groups, in Cameroon that are very genetically similar to groups in Nigeria. So
nice. You can also validate like the way the results are listed on the certificate, because you're the one who lists them for everyone.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's just alphabetical.
Alphabetical, like it has. Okay. All right. I'm sorry, Gina.
That's perfect. No, I was just going to say, I see this note from Arnell Hill. Shout out to Arnell Hill. For those of us not on Facebook, how best can we stay aware of current events with African Ancestry? And so we have a mailing list, Arnell. If you go to AfricanAncestry.com, you can join the mailing list, and we keep people up to date with that. And then we're also on Instagram, but if you're not on Facebook, you're probably not on Instagram either. Join our mailing list. We don't spam you. We just send you regular updates. And we have a newsletter coming out soon. Maybe not. I was the wrong person to invite on. I just wanted to tell everybody who's watching. If they're laughing, it's at me. Okay? I'm gonna try to behave.
But this is why this is one of the best places to work. It's just
it is. It really is.
All right. Okay, so I can take this next question, and it comes from Lynette Copeman. Sorry. She says, my question is, if my results have a Mende women from Sierra Leone in my lineage, is there a way for me to learn what other women from other nationalities are or may be in my lineage? In short, that's kind of it for the maternal line. But if you wanted to know more, you can explore other branches in your family tree. Like I said, over the last couple of weeks, our very first office hours focused on tracing multiple lineages. So we can do some examples so that show you how you can determine what other lines to test. But in your case, very quickly, I could suggest that maybe you should test your father's paternal or maternal line. And then that way you can get your direct paternal lineage. And right now is a good time to do that, because if you go over to AfricanAncestry.com right now, we actually have kits on sale. And then if you buy multiple kits, you're a returning customer, you have a discount there. So yeah, I think this is a good chance for you to buy a kit. And then you can also go to YouTube. We have a playlist of office hours. So that's where you can go and take a look at testing the multiple lineage broadcast. And then if you need some further assistance, you can reach out to us at customer service at info@africanancestry.com. All right. Am I missing anything? Anybody want to add anything before I go? All right. All right, Stanley, I got one for you. Dr. Hooker, I'm sorry. One for you. This comes from Rosemary Jackson Moore. My result says that I'm 100% from an African country. What are the odds that someone receives this degree of certainty?
So, so the sequence similarity score isn't saying that you're 100% from an African country. What it's saying is that for the portions of the mitochondrial DNA and Y DNA that we test, you share an exact DNA sequence match. That means that each base pair of your sequence identically matches the base pairs of the sequences in our reference DNA, and they match with that specific group or country that we mentioned in your results. And so when it comes to the percentages, we can say that 80% of our results come back with at least a 99.7% match, and 99.7% is just a single variant difference in the sequence.
Wow, just one variant. I'm learning something new. Okay. The next question, Tasia, maybe you can take this one. It's from Reggie Elliott. I was surprised to see that my lineage showed 2 tribes. Why or how could this be?
That is a great question, but very similar to the question that Mr. Lewis asked. So as we mentioned just a few moments ago, it could be that some groups are close in proximity to one another, meaning how physically close they are to each other, which then means that they more than likely have come together in the past. Or it could mean that they're closely related, even though they have a different name and are in what are currently different countries. But we do have a list of some of the more common ethnic group combinations that we typically find in our results. So Sierra Leone, as Simone mentioned earlier, we have Mende and Timni that we see a lot. Or was that Gina? I'm sorry, I apologize. And then we have Cameroon. So we typically see Massa, Mafa, and Kotoko. Bioko Island, aka Equatorial Guinea. Cameroon, so you have the Bubi people, Tikar, Hausa, and Fulani. So that's just a few of the combinations, but they are common combinations that we find.
Good. Okay. All right. So we have another one. Throw this one to you, Dr. Hooker.
Okay.
Courtney Greenwood asks, or she says, he or she says, I don't understand how I have the results I have when I have took prior tests saying otherwise. I took ancestry tests and it shows nothing Asian. My grandmother also took a test and she had a different result. My grandmother is
us. They not like 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 us.
So what's the answer?
So all right. So this question can be interpreted two different ways, right? So if you're talking about the results being different between like you and your grandmother for a different company, then obviously you got to take that up with them. Sometimes we get customers who ask us questions about the results that come from other companies, and that's not for us to answer. But
they not like us. They not like us. They not like us. They not like us. They not like us.
Man.
Oh, can you guys guess who's doing that?
I mean, that really is the answer, though. People always want us to explain why we're different than the other companies, and we're just or why our results are wrong. Like, do you all see that? That's a question for the chat. I got a question for y'all in the chat. Excuse me, Simone, busting in, but I have a question in the chat for the chat. I want to know if you guys can tell me why, when our results differ from another company's, that ours are assumed to be wrong. Why is the assumption that African Ancestry's results are wrong? Can anybody help me with that? We can keep going, and I'll see if anybody has responses for that. Because every single time the other company didn't tell me this, so you must be wrong. And I've always wanted to ask that question publicly. So
can I also add and why do you ask us if you don't trust? if you think ours are wrong, what makes you think that we are the expert on the other companies? I'm just saying. So,
but
I will through Barry Payton, yes. Barry Payton down in New Orleans, yes.
Judy Collier said brainwashing.
Thank you for these answers, because I really want to know.
Yeah.
It's funny, especially on that African side, when we have the largest database of African lineages. But anyway.
Hey, I just knew Not Like Us was going to pop up. That would have been a perfect time.
Who's doing that? Who is making that music?
I don't know. Phantom DJ. All right. So next question, and I'll take this one. It's from Colleen Coleman. Where do I find information specific to my results? H7, 100% European. I do understand many Black Americans may have a European ancestor, but why did African Ancestry stop at that finding and not report the African DNA found? I clearly present as a Black woman, so that it's there. That's absolutely true that it's there. I think Dr. Hooker talked about this last week or maybe the week before, the difference between phenotypes and genotypes. So if you're very obviously a Black woman, that doesn't change. What this means is we just weren't able to find any African DNA on that particular branch. So remember, we're doing a single line test. And we took a look at one line in your family tree, and it just so happens that your DNA we weren't able to trace it to Africa. And then if you want to know more about your results, in your results letter, there are links to some PDFs and some additional information when you receive a European maternal result. But if you are a member of the African Ancestry online community, or if you're not, it would be a good time to join on Facebook. There are some resources there. The biggest one are the members. There are other people who receive the same result. And I'm sure, I know for a fact, they talk about it and help each other out and share information that they have about those results. So people in that, it's a community. So they will actually share info with you. But in a nutshell, we just didn't find African on that particular line.
Hey, Simone.
Yeah.
Can we answer this one? Because I think this one is important, even especially since we're having a sale right now.
Yeah. All right. This is from Timing. It says, I would like to get the paternal test done for my brother in a different state to take for our grandfather who's deceased. Will I be able to receive the results mailed to myself in a different state? All right. I can answer it, but someone else can answer it too.
Tasia, what say you, Tasia?
I'll take that. So absolutely, your brother can definitely take the test. So when you make your purchase, you can just enter in his shipping address and it'll go directly to him. What we will encourage is, if you intend to be the recipient of said results, of course, take that up with your brother. Make sure he gives you consent to use his DNA for testing. But our tests are actually they require kit activation. So you not only follow your journey in terms of tracking it to the lab, not seeing how that process goes, but being updated on the steps in that process. The results will then be provided digitally through the account. So again, definitely, have your brother take the test, but make yourself the account holder so that way you have access to the results as well as your brother.
And you'll be prompted.
Yes.
To identify if it's for you or someone else.
Right.
All right.
Thanks.
Okay. Next question. All right, you're up again, Gina. Will you offer trips to Guinea-Bissau?
I'm getting all the trips questions. So we do not have, my bad, Tasia. We do not have a trip to Guinea-Bissau planned right now. However, that is a country that many of you want to travel to. That's a country that we find results from very often. It's in our top 5. And my understanding is that there is a new official from Guinea-Bissau in DC now. And so I'm very hopeful that we can get something going for maybe late 2025, early 2026.
Nice. All right. Okay, Dr. Hooker. This question is from Imad Muhammad. Do you foresee having a database that includes the peoples of Madagascar?
So currently, there's no immediate plan to get reference DNA from the people of Madagascar. Yeah. So that'd be short.
If that ever change, we'll keep you updated for sure. All right. All right, Tasia. So this question is, why is only the maternal line used for women? That's from Antoinette Banks.
This is a great question, and one that we do get a lot, but I appreciate the question. So both men and women can trace their maternal ancestry because everyone inherits the mitochondrial DNA that is needed for the matriclan test. In terms of the patriclan test, men can trace their paternal ancestry because the Y chromosome DNA needed for the patriclan test is only found in people assigned male at birth. So.
Nice. Okay. Just to recap, anyone's maternal line can be tested because mitochondrial DNA is passed to all children, regardless of gender, and only people assigned male at birth can take the patriclan test because we use Y chromosome, which is only passed from father to son to son to son. All right. All right. So we have a question for Kathleen from Kathleen Anderson. Can I read about the topics or questions that have already been discussed on the Facebook/YouTube pages?
That's me, right?
Yeah.
So, Kathleen, I actually have talked to Dr. Hooker about this. We're looking into compiling a list of some articles, like journal articles and stuff that are in the public domain that people can read to get further information. And we also are working on a blog post to cover some of the questions that were answered in previous office hours. But it sounds like you might want to dig down deep into the nuts and bolts and be on Dr. Hooker's level. So we need to get you some scientific journals for that. So we're working on that. Right, Dr. Hooker?
Correct.
And don't forget, you can sign up our mailing list to stay in the loop on that. All right. Okay, I have one I can take here. This is from Stephanie Partlow. She asks, or she says, I would like to know and learn more about the haplogroup, what they mean, and if it tells you what tribe and name your family comes from. All right, Stephanie. So this is a good question. I'll refer you to our YouTube page. So we have an office hours playlist. There you can watch clips from previous office hours, and the last one we did was actually focused on haplogroups, and Dr. Hooker kind of schooled us all on what haplogroups, haplotypes, variants, all of it. It was a whole science lesson. So you can definitely go to YouTube, look for our office hours playlist, and you can learn more from there. You can actually get a pretty in-depth look. All right. All right, we have a question from Clay Wilson. The family tree DNA folks told me that my haplotypes are so rare they could not determine much. African Ancestry as well as 23andMe told me exactly what my haplotypes are. What happened?
They not like us. They not like us. They not like us. They not like us. They not like us.
Well, I was going to say we don't know. We have to ask them.
But if I could chime in this time,
Okay.
Scientifically, it could be because they're using different haplotype prediction software. They could be using, in addition to that, they could be using a different haplogroup database, or they could be using different genotype capturing technology. All of those factors can play a role in, the differences in companies' haplogroups that they give you.
See, this is what happens when you give the grown-ups the mic.
Oh man.
Okay, so we have a question. Stanley, I think you could take this one too.
Okay.
Doctavius Johnson, he has it's a multi-part question. Okay. So you take this first part. Is it possible to get more than one country on my paternal side if the result comes back African?
So yes, it is possible for the reasons that Gina and Tasia gave earlier. They pretty much summed it up, because some lineages are present in more than one group, and just same things they said earlier, and people and or countries are sometimes in close proximity to one another. And I just want to say shout out to you for recognizing that the result could come back non-African. So
hey. All right, so here's the second part of Doctavius's question. All right, Gina, I'm throwing it to you. Are you working with other African countries to allow reunion and family tours outside of Sierra Leone, Cameroon, and Ghana?
Well, they don't allow us. We take the initiative to have our African Ancestry family reunions, and we are adding. So, oh my God, spoiler alert! We are adding a new country for 2025. We are adding Nigeria. So, couple of spoiler alerts, because someone else in the comments asked about Cameroon and when the Cameroon trip is. So we don't have the travel page live yet, but we're going to Cameroon December 1st. So you heard it here first. Oh, that's kind of the same thing. That's alliteration.
Yeah.
You heard it here. No one knows this except for you guys on watching, that Cameroon is December 1st. Looks like Nigeria is January 19th. We're going to be having travel to Ghana anytime. We're going to be having travel to Senegal anytime. So we're adding 2 countries. We're adding Nigeria and Senegal. We've been talking to a couple of other countries, and we're hopeful that we'll get some new trips late 2025, early 26.
Nice.
I'm excited.
That was actually something y'all didn't know, huh? Not even everybody on the team knew that.
I hear like world premiere, like playing in the background. Oh boy. Okay, so we have well, Stanley, you're answering most of Dr. Avius's questions. So here's a third part.
You got the science question.
Yeah. So he says, I've just found, due to my own research, that Mansa Musa was likely Mende, as was much of Mali's leading society figures. I would like to know, what are the pathways for discovering my ancestry in more detail to the specific tribe, family type levels?
So currently we don't have the resources for discovering genetic ancestral relations at any level beyond the country and group shared ancestry level. In fact, no one in the industry does have the ability to, predict at that level. Because in order to do that, you'd have to have the DNA from those individuals in your database in order to trace a person's lineage to said individual. So if you don't have it, you can't do it.
Okay. All right.
We have some juicy questions in the chat. I'm itching. I'm itching to pull a couple of them up.
Let's do it.
Do you mind?
I do not.
Okay, so this one, okay, now I lost it. Hold, please. Paulette Dawes asks, she says, hi, I received my results in 2021 and was so excited. It took a while, and I think it was due to the perplexity of the tribes, Cameroon, Massa, Mafa, and Kotoko. Has any more info been found? Paulette, can you expound on what kind of info you're looking for? Because are you asking for more info beyond what we found? Or are you asking for more information about those individual groups? Can y'all put Cameroon flag in the chat if you've got Cameroon roots? Because I think, Paulette, you have a lot of cousins in here on the chat tonight. And I know for a fact Lavonda has one of those groups. I'm not sure if it's she might actually have all 3. So she's your cousin. There was another juicy one. Oh, this is a good one. Has there ever been a situation where someone did both tests and the results came back the same? Yes, there has.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, people get, yeah.
No, I'm trying to recall, because I used to do the results back in the day.
You didn't do the analysis. We don't want people to, yeah.
No, I did not do the analysis. I just put the results together, the paper together. And I was trying to remember if I'd ever seen that, like when, one of our gentlemen takes a test. But I'm pretty sure I have, but it hasn't been recent, at least.
Yeah. So it does happen. I think it's pretty rare and I think once somebody contacts us and they were like, my results are the same on both. I think I got an error or something like that. It's like, no, it's just a coincidence. You know what I'm saying? We got a lot of different lineages from a lot of different groups, in our line. And it just so happened that for the 2 you tested, they just so happen to come back the same. So it's bound to happen to somebody. So,
right.
Yeah.
Right. And they're done completely differently. Like, it's not like the science team says, okay, I'm going to do these,
right.
Fabio Robinson's, I'm going to do his together.
Right.
They're done in batches. And so mitochondrial results are done separately from Y chromosome results. And the science team doesn't know whose results are whose.
Right. Exactly. All we have are IDs. So, I can't say, oh, this is, this is Larry Johnson's and this is Larry Johnson's. I'm gonna make them come back the same. It's like, no, this
Right.
is 1-0 da da da, and this is 1-0 da da da. I don't know. I'm just analyzing them and giving them up. So
Here's
and also
another.
let me say,
That's why it's important to keep your kid ID numbers.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Always keep them, no matter how long ago you've taken the test. Keep that number; it does not change.
What were you going to say, Stanley?
oh, I was just gonna also say, I think somebody at one point thought that meant that their mother and father were like cousins or like something like it's like, no, it doesn't mean that. Like this ancestry is way back. Like these lineages go way back. So it's not like you got the same result on both sides. So both your parents are related.
So Kwabena, this was a good one. Is there
Uh-oh.
I think Gina froze.
Oh, yeah.
Is there any group in your database for whom you have yet to find any matches? I'm not sure what that means.
Are there any groups in your database for whom you have yet to find any matches? Maybe they're asking.
I see.
But no one has ever.
I see. That's a great question. Man, I might have to look that up and see. I know there are some that are rare, but are there any that we haven't found any matches for? I got to think about that. I don't have it off the top of my head. That's a great question, though. That's a great question.
Yeah, I think maybe we can table it and
bring it back again. Bring it back to another.
I'm curious. I'm
that's something I can definitely look into, though. That's a great question.
Yeah,
that's a great question.
All right, let's see what else we got.
She's back.
Gina, where are those juicy questions? I was trying to.
Did y'all answer that one? Did y'all answer the one from Kwabena?
Yeah. I
Is
mentioned.
there any group in your database for whom?
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, I mentioned. I answered. Sorry.
Yeah, we have so many. That's what makes our database so great. Is we have so many different groups.
Yeah.
No, those were the ones. Oh, somebody did ask a question. I thought they asked, can we identify Caribbean and Native American ancestry in our results too? I'm trying to find it, but that was the question.
Okay.
We can identify indigenous results, but we don't have a database of Jamaican reference DNA or Puerto Rican or Dominican or Haitian reference DNA. So to that end, no, but on the indigenous end, yes. But we don't have specifics regarding indigenous groups.
Right.
Yeah.
And those populations generally have come from someplace else.
Right. Exactly.
In the past 500 to
years.
So if someone's Jamaican, we're probably going to give them their African roots, or like what we've seen with some of the Dominicans we've tested. Some of them have an African maternal lineage. Some of them have a Taína maternal lineage. So it's going to go beyond the New World.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
All right. Anybody want to add anything? This has been pretty dope. I think we had a lot of interesting questions. All right. No? All right. Well, I want to take this moment to remind everyone, if you are an African Ancestry family member and you're not already a member of the online community, you should absolutely sign up for the African Ancestry online community on Facebook. There are thousands of people in the group who share information about their results. All members are test takers. So, they talk about everything from the actual result that they got all the way up to what they did with the result and where they've traveled to and other lines that they've tested. And they've also supported each other and, answering questions about results that maybe not a ton of people have, but someone, in the community has and they can build with. So sign up for that. Another thing is office hours. This is our fourth one. We we'll let you know when the next set of office hours will get started. But if you have any feedback, any questions, anything that you want to add or suggest for us to try for office hours, you can send that to officehours@africanancestry.com. Again, if you have questions, feedback, anything pertaining to office hours you want to share with us, feel free to send it there. officehours@africanancestry.com. Another address to give to you. So, I know that there probably have been some questions, customer service related questions that we can answer. If you want to submit something to info@africanancestry.com, our customer service team will respond to you. If you prefer to call, the phone lines are open Monday through Friday, 1 to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you actually want to talk to someone, but if you call before those hours, then leave a message, someone will get back to you. What am I forgetting? I always feel like I'm forgetting something. We have a sale going on right now. Don't forget to go to africanancestry.com. Check out the sale on our test kits. We have new t-shirts. We actually have our tribe shirts. I wore one maybe a couple of weeks ago. You should go and check those out because those are dope. And you've been asking for them for a while. And what am I forgetting, guys? All right. Well, we're going to
like, subscribe, share.
I thought you were frozen.
Like,
You were moving.
share.
Like, subscribe, share. African Ancestry. Now, we need to be better than, at that. So, yeah, we're on all social media platforms as African Ancestry. Follow us, like this, share this, tell your friends, come back, join our mailing list so you can stay up to date. If you have questions, like I mentioned before, reach out to us at customer service. If you want to add anything about office hours, you can send it to officehours@africanancestry.com. And Gina, what you got?
There's some questions in the chat that we weren't able to get to. I acknowledge those questions and we'll answer them for you. If you were on Facebook, we'll answer them for you in the comments afterwards. We just weren't able to get, some of them required us to do some research and we can't just do off the, we don't know the answers off the bat. We would have to look up to give you an accurate response. Someone responded that they put a lot of thought into their questions and it didn't get answered. So some of the questions we felt weren't easy for us to answer here on live. And so we will be responding. If your question didn't get answered here, we will respond to your question via email. Some of them require additional information, like we couldn't necessarily understand exactly what the question was, stuff like that. But listen, we appreciate you sending in your questions. This doesn't work without your questions. And I want to shout out the They Not Like Us DJ. I think that was a nice touch.
Yes.
Gina, you funny.
Thank you, Simone. Thank you, Tasia. Thank you, Stanley. Shout out to Ty in the chat. All of you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.